Hello there. Today I want to talk about my first steps into the Drawabox course, and I want to go over having just completed lesson 1. Hello and welcome. I am Ash Mannix, and this is Ash Mannix Draws. I realise I haven't posted many videos to this channel. I haven't posted one for a while. So I thought I would start a new little project for this channel as part of the learning I'm doing, and post an almost blog type video series on my experiences with the Drawabox online course. So let me answer some questions first before we get into the video. What is Drawabox? Well, Drawabox is an online course for learning how to draw, funnily enough. And in their words, taken from the website, Drawabox is a set of free exercise-based lessons that focus on the fundamentals, the skills you need to make sense of all other resources and tutorials out there. They focus on the basic mechanics of mark making and how to use your arm. By the end, we develop a strong understanding of form, 3D space, and construction. Now, why am I doing the course? I've wanted to get back into drawing for a long time. I'd started trying to learn how to properly draw a fair few years back. Got busy with life and kind of fell off the wayside, and then COVID kind of happened and that scuppered things, and a lot of kind of stuff around work and all that, big changes happened there, so it kept me busy. But I thought to myself that I really want to get back into it. I really want to get improve. I think I've came quite far from where I was at the beginning when I first started, but I want to get better. So the next question is, what do I hope to get out of the course? And for me, I want to be confident on putting lines on paper when trying to draw things. Simply enough, this is going to form part of a longer strategy where I'm going to try some other courses online after this. Hopefully I'll finish this one. But I'm using this to learn the kind of fundamentals as they describe on the website. Now, what is involved? Looking at the website, the lessons seem to be split into, I think it's 6 or 7 main parts, and with a couple of drawing challenges interspersed in between. That's as much as I know so far. I haven't looked too far into the later lessons, just kind of concentrated on the earlier ones. So yeah, the first couple of lessons are more fundamental, going over lines, ellipses and boxes, and kind of like the basics of perspective, and then going into organic forms and how to dissect forms, stuff to do with that. At the end of a lesson, you get homework to do, which is can vary, but it'll be 1 to 2 pages of an exercise that will kind of focus on a specific part of the lesson. And there's usually in lesson 1 there's I think 5 or 6 different things to do, and hopefully if I edit this right, I will show some pictures of my examples of what I did for homework for lesson 1. But yes, once you do the homework, you can submit it for feedback, and they have various ways of doing this. Actually, you can submit it on Reddit, which under the r/art fundamentals Reddit group, which I believe is where Drawabox kind of originated from. It was originally a Reddit forum, a Reddit subgroup that kind of grew from there. You can also post your homework to their Discord server, which I think is free to join. Or the third option is that you can submit it directly to the people at Drawabox, and someone will go through your homework and give you feedback. Which is more, the advantage is it's guaranteed, because Reddit and Discord, you're relying on just free volunteers to look at your stuff and give you feedback, whereas submitting it directly to Drawabox means that you're definitely going to have someone look at it, and they're going to give detailed feedback. So I chose that option, but that is the other option. 2 options are free, but the option to submit direct to Drawabox
is paid in a sense, and it's a little bit complicated. You sign up to their Patreon. Depending on what level of Patreon donation you give per month, you get a certain number of credits, and you can use each time you submit a homework and it is reviewed, you use up a credit. So they explain why it's a little bit circuitous like that and on the website as you're going through, and I kind of understand what they're doing. I went for the paid option because I wanted to get dedicated feedback, and I felt if I was paying a bit as well, I'd be more incentivized to carry on the course. Though in the past, paying for stuff hasn't incentivized me too much, so I don't know, hasn't worked too well in the past. But yes, so the advantage as well one of the advantages of the website is when you submit your work, you have a little sketchbook which keeps a record of your submissions. And if you're getting feedback directly from the website, from the people at Drawabox, then that is saved there as well, which is cool.
Now, next question is, what equipment am I using? Now, Drawabox have specified what equipment to use, or they have recommended what equipment to use, and it's not actually that much. It's really just a pen and paper. So for the paper, it's just A4 printer paper, which is actually quite it's surprisingly good to use with the type of pen they've recommended. So the pen they've recommended is like a felt tipped, well, it's a pigment liner pen. I don't know, it's a kind of ink pen with a soft nib. 0.5 mil is the size that they recommend. So I went and bought the most highly recommended one in the course, was like the Staedtler pigment liner 0.5 mil, but you can get any brand. I'm not that bothered. But yes, let me go into lesson 1, just in a high level overview of what it goes over. So it's called Lines, Ellipses and Boxes, and as the name of the lesson says, it's about drawing lines, ellipses and boxes. And I think the idea is that, I mean, it's definitely a different experience manually drawing on paper. I'm usually doing stuff on a digital tablet of some sort. And also you can't, when you make a mess, you can't just easily erase it. So there is that. I think that incentivizes you to try and, try and be more accurate when you actually make a mark on paper. Which is actually what the first few lessons are, the first part of lesson 1's about. The idea of kind of like drawing lines, drawing them well, try to draw them straight. It talks about how to use your arm and stuff like that, like move your arm from the shoulder rather from the wrist or the elbow. And it's actually quite good. Like, I was surprised at how much better I got at drawing lines just from that lesson. And then the lessons after that kind of go over drawing ellipses, which are surprisingly hard to do freehand, and also planes and then boxes. And the homeworks are full of you kind of drawing lines, ellipses, boxes. You do a lot of it. And the boxes stuff is actually quite interesting. Like, it goes into try to draw from to like using vanishing points, using 1, then two vanishing points, and then 3, and you have to like it gets you to try and draw boxes in different orientations as well, and it's surprisingly hard, and it took me hours to do. Like, I think each section of homework would take me an hour or so. It took me ages to do, which might be different for different people, but it was quite taxing as well, quite tiring mentally, but I did complete it. And I submitted it for feedback, and I did get feedback quite quickly. Actually, it was like only a few working days, and the feedback itself was actually quite good. It was quite detailed. It wasn't like a line per piece of homework. The person that reviewed it went over each section of homework and gave like pretty constructive criticism. Yeah, really good constructive criticism about how I'd done the homework. You could tell that they definitely looked closely at what I'd done. It wasn't just a cursory glance, and luckily I passed, so that was good. I don't think I'd have been able to do it again.
So yeah, my opinion so far of the course is, first of all, it's hard. It takes a surprising amount of effort just to complete like some homework sections from a lesson, and there's about 4 or 5 different homework parts of the homework submission for a lesson, and it takes up a lot of time as well. I'd say like a couple of pages of drawing squares or boxes or whatever. It would take me like an hour, but that's because maybe I'm rubbish at drawing. It does feel good though, and I have definitely noticed an improvement already just from my confidence in drawing lines. There is the kind of ghosting method which the lesson goes into, and that is surprisingly helpful. How the course talks about vanishing points. There's something in there about that kind of makes it easier for you to understand vanishing points, which is awesome. Honestly, really makes it easier to understand, because I always found it weird that you get 2, 1, 3, and how's that work? But yeah, I liked that. And a lot of time is spent on each lesson talking about the lesson, explaining why it's important and what's trying to be, what you should be trying to get out of it. And it really, I think I quite like that. I mean, it does take a lot of time. There's quite a bit of text and videos to watch, but I think all of that's done on purpose to try and for you to kind of slowly absorb all this information, and for it to really kind of like hit home and embed, rather than just like quickly going through a bunch of like short videos or short like pages of text and fly through the lessons. So yeah, I mean, there is a temptation to speed through the lessons. Don't get me wrong, I was tempted to try and do that. But you really shouldn't. And one of the things that they do, if you're getting the official feedback from this Drawabox team, is that they have a 14-day cool down period after a lesson, or sorry, a homework submission has been reviewed. So once it's been reviewed and feedback has been given, they will wait 14 days. You can't submit anything else until 14 days after that submission. And that's just to prevent people from trying to like zoom through all the lessons, because it is important to like take it slowly. And they do say that at most, or in the shortest time it can take, or the shortest time it can take for the lesson is like 6 months, but you usually expect it to be like a year or so, which is kind of crazy considering you're just learning the fundamentals. But they insist that, you know, you should be taking it that pace. You shouldn't be speeding through it. And it's emphasized again and again throughout the lesson in a good way, I think. So yes, I don't know, I just, for some reason, appeal to me. That way of teaching seems to make sense to me, might not to you. But again, it is definitely worth checking out, since it is free, unless you want to get official feedback. So overall, I'd say that just from doing lesson 1, I have learnt a lot, just about the fundamentals of drawing lines and boxes. The stuff on perspective and vanishing points was really good, really informative for me, being someone who just didn't have a clue about any of these things. And I feel a lot more confident on making pen marks on paper, because usually I'll sketch with a pencil if I do anything on paper. I very rarely use a pen, which is kind of mental, and definitely not a felt nib type pen. Yeah, overall, like, definitely I feel that I've improved in my line drawing, confidence in making marks on paper, especially with pen, and just kind of general, very basic kind of idea of perspective. So the next thing I did after this lesson, so after I got the feedback, is I started the next section of the course, which is the 250 box challenge. And trust me, that one is fucking tough. On box 180 out of 250, fucking hating myself. They didn't lie when they said this would be a tough course. But hopefully this was informative in some way, my ramblings. Do leave a comment. Have you tried this course? Are you thinking of doing this course? Or are you thinking of like getting better at drawing or starting to draw? I started late in life, so like I think there's never, I know it's cheesy, but it's never too late to start. But do leave a comment, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it, and hopefully I'll make a series out of this, and I'll do another video when I've done the lesson 2, where I'll also hopefully talk about the 250 box challenge, which I'm hoping to complete. But for now, I'm Ash Mannix, this is Ash Mannix Draws, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.